the Vice President Engineering for Space Clubs in Ilorin. Good evening, good morning, rather, Engineer Hussein. Thank you very much um for honoring our invitation, and thank you so much for creating time despite your tight schedule to deliver this wonderful lecture to us. Our time is fast spent already, so please let us invite our friends and let's listen while our wonderful engineer delivers a lecture to us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ma.
I hope you guys can hear me. Hello, thank you very much for the introduction, Amira. My name is Husseina Etibalogun, as you can see on the screen, hopefully. And I'm currently a PhD candidate at Kyushu Institute of Technology in Japan. And I was approached to do this talk for you guys. And I realized just now when I'm about to start that I didn't actually have like a dedicated introduction section. So a little bit about me before we get started. I Yoruba girl from Akure, Ondo State, and I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering in Futa, and I joined the space club while in Futa and became very interested in software and space, and I made it something that people knew about me. So when it came time to graduation, my supervisor already knew that this was something I was interested in, and he had this like opportunity, well, he had this connection to another supervisor here in Japan, and he asked me, "Are you interested in pursuing further studies in space engineering?" And is because I was applying to American universities at the time, and he asked if America was like my final goal or something, and I said no, I'm just interested in space wherever it is. So then, yeah, he showed me this opportunity for the scholarship that I ended up getting, and yeah, that's how I ended up here in Japan studying space. Um, Hopefully, there's lots of opportunities like that for you guys, but the I don't have like a framework like this is exactly step by step how you will get from A to Z, but this is just like the general direction or general pathways that you could take. So yeah, let's begin. So I'm gonna go through a general understanding of the space sector, some myths that people assume, um, the advantages of being a student currently, and then the different pathways that I have identified. Probably there's more. Um, the types of work that you can be doing now to set yourself up, how to build your student profile, and then how to gain exposure, and then the challenges that I'm aware of currently in Nigeria, and then like a mini action plan. It's not like a fully fledged plan, but a mini action plan that you can use, and then some key takeaways, and you can ask me any questions that you have. So, why this talk? I wasn't the one that came up with this topic, actually. It was your very nice student leads. But when I was going through how to section it, how to explain it, I realized that this is something that I would have really benefited from. And I, when I was graduating, was after COVID, right? So we had COVID in 2020, and then we had strike as well. Yeah, and then we had strike again. So I think around COVID, I wasted a lot of that time because we didn't know when we would be resuming school, but then I didn't think of it as like an opportunity to do something. I was just kind of, I don't know what I was doing. I think I was just watching Korean movies, to be very honest, for the whole time. Um, and then when we had strike again after that, I was like, okay, this is a good opportunity for me to um, plan my life because I was very aware that I was near the end of 400 level at the time. I was like very aware that yeah, I'm gonna graduate and I actually don't know where I'm going. So the first thing is that not just space, but any career or any destination that you envision for yourself starts before you actually graduate. Um, and when you think about the access that you have to a certain um, like stage of your life that you want to be in or a certain um, path that you want to take, it's not always like about money or specifically material things that can get you there. It's about how you can position yourself to 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 gain opportunities that can get you there. So I'm very very aware that there's a bunch of talent in Nigeria, but the pathway is quite unclear. So when we're talking about space in particular, we have to understand that the space sector itself is quite small and competitive and very network driven, which means that your best bet is knowing somebody that's kind of in the vicinity of the sector already. And most of the roles aren't like, they're not cinematically significant roles. You're not gonna be, not everybody's gonna be like an astronaut. Not everybody's gonna be the guy that makes, I don't know, SpaceX or Boeing or something like that. Most of the roles that are currently in the space sector are the engineering roles, the software roles, the data analysis types of roles. And most of them are not labeled space. So if you are intent on working in the space sector, it's better that you understand what kind of niche skill you have or you want to have, and then how that can be applied to the space sector. So you can have a specific skill and then be like, I'm only going to apply to, certain space companies or something like that. So the space ecosystem kind of consists of three main levels. We have the upstream, which is the satellites, the launching, the hardware. The midstream, which is ground operations, ground systems, data handling. So upstream is all the everything that's necessary for us to build systems that can give us data. That's the upstream. Then the midstream is what we do on Earth to ensure that we receive the data from these machine systems that we've built. And then the downstream is the data applications and analytics. So this downstream also involves not necessarily direct use of space data, but also things like if you're into, for example, space law or space medicine, you might not directly be making, hardware or operating ground systems, but you will be doing research that helps people in space in your niche area. So that also is included in the downstream side of it. So what I saw, or I mean, what I see with students, not just in space, but in general, is when they start thinking of their um, their goals or their careers, mostly is the year that they're about to graduate. which technically kind of it's the same thing that happened to me, right? But it's better that you obviously you don't know where you're going to be in life, but if you have a general direction from the beginning, you can work towards that. So when I entered FUTA, actually, I did not enjoy I did not enjoy the mechanical engineering degree department, whatever. I did not enjoy the classes. I did not enjoy the homework. I did not enjoy just the monotony of it. I really wanted to do hands-on work. And I didn't have at the beginning I wasn't like it wasn't like I was interested in space the first year, second year. I think joined space club in like the third year or something, or the end of second year. So I just knew that I wanted to not be in FUTA all the time, and I wanted to participate in projects, like hands-on projects. So I was constantly applying to opportunities. I was constantly applying to boot camps, to workshops, to like I would just go online and Google things, um, and then apply, whether it was in Nigeria, whether it was in other places in Africa, whether it was in other continents. I was constantly applying to different things. And I think I think at the beginning I had so what I do frequently is I go and Google X resume, X job resume. So I think at the beginning I did Google like mechanical engineer resume, and then I looked at what is inside a mechanical engineer's resume, and then I was trying to build skills on my own that was related to that I could add onto my resume that would be similar to that. But then as I like started applying to things and then started getting opportunities, like I went to a boot camp, I think fully sponsored in Benin City, um, and I met a bunch of people. Some of the organizers were like Nigerian students from MIT, for example, that had gotten funding to do this boot camp, and I met some other people that were. I was in university at the time. A lot of the people that were at that boot camp were secondary school students, and it wasn't like just secondary school students. It was private school secondary school students, like rich kids that were coming to this boot camp. And I, to be very honest, I felt quite old. I wasn't old. I was like what, 19, but the fact that the people that knew about this opportunity were mostly kids um in high income families in Nigeria, young kids. I think there was only one other university student. I think he went to UNN at the time, and yeah, it made me realize that oh, there's a bunch of opportunities, but we like they're not like advertised so much that everybody knows about it. Like you have to actually look for these things. So I was looking for just opportunities to participate in things, just to do projects. And this one particularly was like a robotics boot camp, something like that. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll get into robotics, get into robot engineering, blah, blah, blah. I went to look at what a resume of a robotics engineer looked like, and I was trying to build skills towards that. And then I met somebody that was in the space club in FUTA, and he introduced me to space. And then I was like, okay, this is really interesting. What does a space engineer do? And then I started thinking, how can I leverage what I already know, which is mechanical engineering, and how can I pivot that towards space engineering? So this moves us onto the chasing certificates instead of skills. So initially, yeah, it wasn't that it wasn't that I was so intent on like um, being a space person from the beginning. It wasn't like that. It was more like I was trying to find opportunities to do hands-on projects, um, and then pivoting my mechanical engineering knowledge to space engineering is the next thing I did. So I started um, doing more CAD related work on my own. We did do some classes related to computer aided design, but yeah, it wasn't enough for me. So I started doing some on my own, doing some learning like some simulations like ANSYS. I think I was using SolidWorks, ANSYS, um, to build my own like mini portfolio. And when you have a hobby, when you have something that you're dedicating your time to, you have to be aware that you cannot dedicate your time to everything. So this moves me on to the third point, which is I was very aware that I wasn't going to be like a straight A student. I'm not saying you can't be a straight A student and be uh and do like your hobby or do skill development. I'm not saying that because I know so many people that have been able to find that balance in their lives. I'm just not one of those people. So like I said at the beginning, I didn't have like a goal. So my main goal was just like, oh, I'll just get A's and stuff. I think the only time I really got all A's was like my first year, first semester. After that, because I was going around gallivanting, traveling up and down, looking for opportunities to just not be in school, um, yeah, that my grades started to drop a bit. I wasn't like a straight A student, but I was aware that I could maintain an average, like an above average GP. That would mean that the experience I was gaining plus my grades would be enough to back me up like in the future. And then it was towards my third year that I started being more interested in software. So um, I did the CAD stuff and I was like, this is cool. I like the side of mechanical engineering. I like thermal analysis and things like that. But then I realized that I couldn't build a lot of stuff. I could design and simulate, but I couldn't build and see what it really looks like. So that's when I started going more into software related things, more embedded designs. And I was like, okay, like I can build a whole software and see that it works without having to go anywhere, print anything. Um, and then I started being more involved in open source related communities. Um, yeah, and that really helped me understand that having skills is good, but having people know that you have skills is better. And I started sharing my work more online. I started like educating people based on what I was learning. So I wasn't trying to say that, oh, I know so much. It was more of I'm learning this and I'm sharing what I'm learning along the way. So this is the fourth point of no public record of work. So having a GitHub was very I like the idea of the GitHub. I forgot what they call it, but basically, when you make a commit every day, it has like little like squares that the intensity of the color increases based on how many commits, how many saves you've made of your work that day. So for somebody that like me that likes the visual representation of my progress, that was really good for me, and it made me more interested in doing something every single day to be able to see this streak of progress. Um, yeah, and then so I had the GitHub, I had this like kind of online diary of sharing what I was learning as I was learning it, and then I started gaining more eyes on me, um, and it got to a point where I think people thought I really knew everything, and I realized I was kind of misconstruing that. Um, so I think when I got to a point where I wanted to focus more on developing the skill than showing what I was learning, I kind of like put that on pause. But the fact that I still have that portfolio online that shows this is what I've done and these are the skills I've built for myself, that was like a very critical thing. So while you're in school currently, you still have, well, even if you're not in school, you still have time because you can make time. But what school gives you is the ability to try something and then fail. Now, number 2 here says access to labs, and I want to point out actually. So, the ability to try something and fail is very important. And then the access to um, facilities, equipment, people. People is very, very important because a lot of the opportunities for like internships or jobs have been from people within the university, within FUTA. They're not the ones that directly led me to that opportunity. They knew my interest and then referred me to somebody, and that somebody had that opportunity. So having people know what you're interested in is very, very important. And then in university, for example, FUTA doesn't have, I can't say that we had like a lab that I could be doing, testing and everything in. But there was a guy that used to help people with their final year projects. And he had his own area. I don't know what to call it. He had his own, is it a shop? I don't know. So we had like Northgate and Southgate, and outside Southgate is a bunch of different, shops and stuff. He had his own room that was dedicated to like engineering things. So he had soldering irons, and he had like embedded kits. He had desoldering like station. He had a, what's it called, like a saw. Like he had things, he had equipment to be able to build things. So when I say like access to like labs, if your university has labs like that has equipment that you have access to, great. But the fact that you're in a university setting means that there are people around you that want to profit from you building projects as well. So you can also find those people. It was in my it was in my final year that I learned about this guy, and I really wish that I had knew about him earlier, because I would have been going to his office more often to build things. So try and find people around you, maybe within the school or just on the outskirts of school, that may have their own like mini labs or equipments that you can have access to, whether you pay to have access to it or they give trainings or whatever. And then you have a freedom to explore roles. So when you graduate or when you move on to like if it's higher education or work or whatever, that's when you start specifying. That's when you start what's the word I'm looking for? Niching down into specific roles or specific interests within whatever it is that you've chosen to do. But if you're still in school, you have the ability to move. You can do one project that's in this area, do another project that's in this area, and you can fail without having the what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, without having the like external supervision that leads to, I don't know, some kind of negative outcome. So if you're in school, the worst that could happen is you've spent money on something and it didn't work. But if you're trying to do that outside, you might not have, maybe you're spending all this money, you don't have a job. So where you start thinking about what you're going to eat, where you're going to live. Let's say you do have a job and this is something that you're doing in your workplace. This is something that somebody else is depending on you to finish the product. And if you don't finish it, it results in a loss for your boss, for example. If you're in academia and this is something that you're doing there, it results in unfinished work for, again, your supervisor or whoever the principal investigator is in that research. So school gives you, when you're not working as like an employed PhD student or master student, and you're not working in an industry yet, it gives you the ability to start something, fail at it, and then just go back to the drawing board without so much pressure, I guess. So these are some of the routes that I've identified into space. So we have the university research project, we have student satellite/robotics teams, we have online and open source collaborations, and then we have internships, fellowships, and exchanges. So within these four things, whether you're like an engineering student or a law student or a medical sciences student, there is an opportunity for you to fit into one of these things. So when trying to identify what kind of route you want to take, you should be aware that it's not like set in stone. It's not like you can only focus on a university research project, for example. It doesn't mean that you can only focus on applying for internships and fellowships, for example. It's often better that you try to combine two or more of these things, so that you have like a wide variety of options. Because applying to things is one thing, but like actually getting them is another. And I think the application processes also to things is something that should be viewed as an opportunity, back to what I was saying in the previous slide, as an opportunity to fail as well. So I think by my third year of applying to things, I had gotten very used to rejection letters or rejection emails. So applying to something like an open source exchange or an internship or a boot camp, it kind of stopped phasing me. I would just apply and I would just let it go. Like, I'd do the work, write the essay, you know, submit the information, and then I just let it go. So if I get confirmation back, I'm happy. And if I don't, I'm aware that I've done my part and I've sent something out into the world, right? So this is also one of the things, is be open to reaching out and then not receiving positive feedback. But if it's something that you really want, then also be open to following up. Yeah, be very open to following up as well. Next. So within these, the main two areas are academia and industry. If you want to focus on academia, this requires more depth and theory and patience. Depth in terms of is it skill acquisition, I want to say, or the type of work that you'll be doing, because academia is like more research focused, and even if you are niching down on a very specific topic in academia, you are expected to know a lot about that topic, right? Whereas in the industry, and I can't speak so much for this because I have not participated in the industry so much, but it requires more speed, and they prioritize delivery and trade-offs. So the industry is more concerned with achieving the goal, building the product, making the client happy, and whatever is required to reach the client's goals, that's what is done in industry. Whereas in academia, you have more time to kind of I don't want to say relax, but you have more time to delve into a topic or delve into a project. So these are like two things to keep in mind. So when we're looking at high impact student activities um, that you can try to engage in, again, I'm talking about this from an engineering background, so sorry for people that are not in engineering. So being able to design a system is very important for space engineering related people. Being able to design a whole system that encompasses various components that work together is very important. So designing a kind of mini satellite with resources that you have. So it's not to say that you should look at projects and feel like you have to have a whole bunch of money or tools or ideas of grandeur around them. You can have an idea for a project and then start with resources that you can gain locally. And this is actually the best thing because where from I'm gonna get to this again later in the next slide, but there are two main ways that we will excel in the space sector. The first being of our own accord, like within our own area, that is within Nigeria, within Africa, and then the next is working abroad. I have a question here from Amira.
It's not actually a question. I just wanted to bring to your notice that the time is fast spent.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And being if your goal is to work abroad, for example, being able to say that you've built a project that leveraged resources that is only available to you is very it's something that you can leverage. It's a skill that you can really capitalize on. And when you think about these kind of projects, it's best to try and go with people. Try and do projects with people because you can't do everything by yourself. But then also focus on outputs, not just meeting to plan everything all the time. I think when it comes to projects, I really would emphasize building first. So do like a really rough plan and then trying to build something like within that week, and then trying to improve on that the next week, then improve on that. Because if you focus too much on the planning aspect, you will get too bogged down thinking about where to get the money for it, where to find all these big resources and tools or whatever. But if you start with, okay, right now we want to build this, and I know that I have a water bottle here, I have this kind of thing here, I have this here, somebody has this, then it's easier for you to build the very minimum viable product of that, and then continue developing based on that. But it's also important to, if the hardware is not something that's very feasible, it's very important to leverage software because, like I said, it's an easier stepping stone, and it gives you the ability to be more visible on a more global stage. If you're building hardware, you can still also advertise that. I don't know if advertise is the word. Advertise that online. But you have to be more intentional in keeping documentation, like taking pictures of every single step, that you're doing. So what I was mentioning before was these options of building in Nigeria and working abroad. So if your goal is to work abroad, then you actually need to build a profile for international exposure. And the idea is to have maybe two main things that you want to focus on, or three things that you want to focus on. If you're a software person, you can focus on building a GitHub portfolio. If you're somebody that's building things or simulating things, having a dedicated platform that you post your information on, you post your progress on. That this can be Instagram, this can be LinkedIn. LinkedIn is more professional, but you can choose any other platform. And then, like I said, with the documentation, I was updating my CV like every month or every 2 months based on whatever it is that I've done, because I'm very aware that I forget things very easily. So if I don't write down that I did this thing at this time, or if I don't do mini reports of like the work I'm doing as I'm doing them, then I lose the details of what went into that work. So these profiles should consist of what you can do, what you've built, what you've written, and who you have worked with that can speak on your behalf of the skills that you're building. So when it now comes to the reaching the level of showcasing your talent at in-person events or even online events, because there's lots of opportunities for conferences and workshops online where you can meet people online and then through that get an opportunity to meet them in person. First is cold emailing. And I used to do this a lot where I'd find like is it a company? I'd find like a company or some kind of institution, and I would Google what their emails looked like. There's a bunch of websites now. Like this was back in like 2018, 2019. So probably there's a whole bunch of AI tools that can help with this now. But that time I would just Google, and there was like there was a website that you would put in the institution, and then it would tell you what like the ending of the email address would look like, and then it would skim through like the internet or whatever, and then give you like emails of people within that school or industry or organization, and I would cold email them. A cold email is basically just you don't know this person and you're just reaching out to them. Hey, my name is this, I do this, here's how I can help you. Or, hey, my name is this, I do this, I'd love an opportunity to. Hi, my name is this, I do this, and I have a question about this. But when it comes to cold emailing, you see in the brackets it says done well. That's very important. So you shouldn't just cold email somebody and be like, hey, this is me, help me. It's often better when you have a value proposition. Like maybe you've identified something in their product that you think could be improved, and you're like, hey, let's talk about this. Or you have a very specific question about some kind of research that they're doing. They'll be like, oh, this person took the time to read my work and then has a question about it. Yeah, I'm very open to having a 10-15 minute call with you. And then finding hands-on trainings, workshops, summer schools, scholarships. And then the thing with these ones as well is, even if you find something, if the deadline has passed, don't think that, well, it's passed, so I won't do it again. You should be aware that probably this is an annual thing. Put it in your calendar. Like, this thing that I really wanted to go to, the deadline has already passed, but it's going to happen again next year. And next year, I'll be more prepared because now I'll know that this is everything that I need to apply, and I would have this information before the next year for me to do this. So it's being more intentional, and it's not like you're doing this every day, right? You can just set like a weekend to just sit down and do this and then put a lot of stuff in your calendar. But it's being intentional about where you want to go and identifying where those opportunities would be for you. Um, and being open to be like, okay, there's a bunch of opportunities, but maybe I want to do it in um, more is it Arab related countries, or I want to find opportunities like this in more European, Eastern European, Western European countries, or I'm very set on North America. I really want to work in this field in Canada or in the UK or in the USA. I know that this opportunity would um, you have to weigh the pros and cons also. Like if the let's say the job or the institution or whatever it is that you want to do, if there's, for example, a higher prestige in a certain country, but you know that, for example, there's a better community in another country, you also have to weigh those pros and cons. But you have to be open to just applying to everything and hoping that one of them sticks. So then, when we're talking about building in Nigeria, um, I feel bad because the next slide was just like challenges, which is not very nice. But it's like it's an elephant that we have to like always address. Like we can't just say that we want to um, do something in our country and then be completely oblivious to the things that can deter us. Um, so when we look at space in Nigeria, we have to consider what it means. And again, I really wish that I had spent more time looking at space in Nigeria, because it wasn't until I came to Japan and I had a course that was space law, and they kind of, one of the assignments was for us to make presentations about the space law within our own countries, because we're all from different countries in my course here, and then we have to make presentations on the law within our countries. I'm really happy, Abby, is it happy or lucky that my previous self, my younger self, was making friends with Nigerians that are interested in space, because they helped me so much with that assignment that I would reach out to people and they'd be like, hey, um, I have this assignment. I need to know about Nigerian space law. I don't know anything about it. And then I'm reaching out to somebody in UNN that's doing space law. I'm reaching out to somebody that's in SGAC, that's in some kind of global policy project group. And they're like, yeah, talk to this person. This person knows all of this. Um, and then they were referring me to real documents and articles that have been written for Nigeria regarding space laws, and it's not so detailed. Not a lot of them are so detailed, but um, is it detailed? I want to say not so clear. Um, but it really showed me that wow, like we actually have things in place that says we can do this, we can't do this, um, and then understanding where we fit. So if you see this first picture is Nigerian engineers being trained. I think this is Surrey, so this is in the UK. This is the next picture is the development of a rocket by, I'm not sure if it's NASA, to be very honest. And then this one is a picture of a ground station in Nigeria. Now, I've been trying to find out where this ground station is, and if you zoom into the picture, you'll see that the monitors are like inside a like inside like a wall. You see the wall that's like curved into the. So I wasn't very sure if this is like an actual ground station or like some kind of air traffic control station that somebody just took a picture and said, yeah, we have a ground station. But being aware of the opportunities that have been given to people within the Nigerian space sector, you see mostly government related activities, and it's activities that require training outside of Nigeria. This is something that I'm still trying to figure out how to like lessen that gap because we cannot say that we're interested in space and then the only method of under training is outside of our country, right? Um, so some things that I have addressed or identified is infrastructural gaps, yeah, limited local opportunities, but this is also not just opportunities but exposure. Um, and then when it comes to like if you want to be trained outside, funding, visa issues, like actual technical issues that come down to um, going to a visa office or going through the applications of wherever the country is that you're trying to be trained in. And then what we actually need are um, systems engineers, software and data engineers, operations, documentation. So documentation is important because it means that somebody else can pick this up and understand it without us having to uh, dedicate human resources to fully retraining. Like, yes, you can onboard people, but having documentation that helps with that is great. And then our one of the things that I've observed in Africa is maintenance. So when I mention here like operations and reliability, it's also the ability to maintain an existing um, system. So we're good at like starting things, but when we start, we don't always have a plan for maintenance in place. Um, so maintenance means like how are we moving from one leader to the next, for example? How are we moving from um, one project and then duplicating that project to the next generation of people, and making sure that the next generation also understands this, and is able to replicate the same project, and then build on top of that. Um, yeah, so these are the things that I have identified. um, Finding the solutions is a separate thing that I did not include in here. Sorry. But now, if we want to look at like the action plan of what you should think about, um, if you are in 200 to 400 level versus if you're in final year to NYSC, the way that you approach it would be different, right? So if you're in 200 to 400 level, you still have time because you could still go on strike. I'm joking. But you can you have time to say, okay, I want to go into this lane and I want to like really focus on getting as many opportunities as I can. So being proactive in joining and starting technical projects, learning skills deeply. So do not try to do everything. Do something that you think you're interested in and you think might come easy to you, because if it comes easy to you, it's easier to build on top of that because you don't have to force yourself, you don't have to motivate yourself to do the thing. If it's already a little bit easy, it gives you more less tension to work harder on it. And then publishing is so important. I was really sad when I missed this guy's talk. I forgot his name, but I think he's from OAU. He did a talk on research, like being a young researcher and publishing. And if you're in a school, like you should be a goal of yours to publish a paper. Like if we're in like undergrad, like they don't tell you in undergrad like, oh, like the best thing for you is to do a master's in another country. But like when you get to that point of, oh, I don't know what I'm doing with my life and I think I just want to leave this country, most of the opportunities that are given to us are related to academia research, is us building the research industry, whatever, in another person's country. But to do that, you need the skill of writing, you need the skill of critical thinking, you need the skill of reading. And this is not something that's fully taught to us. Um, so the ability to publish something, even if it's not like if it's not a full journal, whatever, if you can, whatever skill it is that you developed, um, if you can sit down and just write an article about it, that's still something. And then talking to people outside of Nigeria, yeah, I was very proactive in reaching out to people online on LinkedIn, on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, GitHub. So like if I see that you have a GitHub account or whatever, I'm gonna try and find your like I really do just like whatever platform I see you in, I try and find your email from the internet and I email you, or I find your LinkedIn and I talk to you on LinkedIn. It might just be a hi today, and then I remember that maybe next year I'm doing something and I remember there was somebody that did something related to this. I can return back to you. So you might not always have something to say. You might just be like, hey, I really like your work. I'd like to be able to talk to you at any time. That's fine. Then if you're in your final year, um, attaching yourself to a project. So I just saw a comment that was like, if you're in 400 level, it's already too late. I think if you're thinking that things are already too late, then you're already too late. Like most of this thing is like mindset also. Like you need to be aware that opportunities are endless. Like they don't just opportunities don't stop coming. It's about if you stop looking for them and if you stop trying to identify them. Um, but I don't think anything is too late because within my university, like my department, when I applied to my this masters in Japan. I think I was in 400 level. I didn't have my results, and I applied anyway. And then the way that the strike went and COVID went, it was actually just like matching up, just matching up for me to do the interviews, for me to do the proposal, for me when they were asking for results. We had just resumed, so I was going to the Senate every day for them to like, do I have your results? Do you have results now? Do you have like those people got tired of me, so it's about being intentional and like, okay, am I gonna put in the work to actually do the thing? Um, and then I applied like towards like 400 level and I ended up getting it. And then like I didn't graduate. It's like the month before official graduation that I came to Japan, right? Somebody else had done a different thing. They applied for like they did an internship. So while we were doing IT, so I did IT in Lagos. Somebody applied for somewhere and did a financial analyst internship in the UK. And we're all like, oh my gosh, like, can we do that? I didn't know that we could do IT in other countries. And then, based on that, he ended up getting like a full job in the UK. So when I come to do masters here, somebody's already got a full time job in the UK, and I'm like, oh my god, like, look at me still being a student. What am I doing? Somebody's working. At the same time, there were people in our department, that first class people, that were applying to things that weren't getting anything, right? And these are first class, like they focused on being first class. So I wouldn't say that they had like the project experience, but they were first class students and they knew what they were doing, you know? So it's not just like first class, like took the exam, like it's in their heads, but they weren't like you just see that, okay, they're still in Nigeria. They're not really, you're not seeing that they're in masters. You're not seeing that they have like a full-time job or anything. It's just kind of like just doing something. And then I'm seeing them now like, oh yeah, I got a PhD, a fully funded PhD in America. I got a fully funded training opportunity in Canada, and this is like this year. So if you're looking at me from like 400 level, traveling to like, I don't know, Egypt or these different places to do trainings, you're like, oh, this person is really like doing something. But it's still, you can't compare me to also this person that got like a fully um, funded opportunity to get trained in something maybe like 3 years later. Like as long as you're still looking for that opportunity, you will land on something. You will land on something. That's how you should think about it. You shouldn't think like, oh, it's already finished for me. No. Just be like, this is just more time for me to continue developing my skills. Maybe my skills of the actual project related skill, me, simulating something, building something, or this is opportunity for me to develop my soft skills. how to talk to people, how to reach out to people, how to email people, how to identify, because there's also a skill in being able to identify an opportunity. That is a skill in itself. So if you're not getting the feedback that you want to get, you shouldn't see it as a loss, basically, is what I'm trying to get to. Yeah. And then this is the last slide actually, but basically what I wish I knew earlier. Um, like I said, I'm really proud of my younger self because she didn't know what she was doing, to be very honest with you guys. She was just like, I don't want to be in Futa doing thermal analysis, and I mean not thermal analysis, thermodynamics and Fourier transforms. She was like, I don't give a shit, sorry, about all of this calculations that you guys are doing. I just want to do hands-on things. I want to build things. And to be very honest, she didn't build that many things, but she observed a lot of things and she kept applying, which that's what I'm really proud of, is the fact that she wasn't like, oh, no, 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 yeah, give up. No, she kept applying anyway. Even if it seemed like it had nothing to do with her area of current specialization, she would still apply, which that's what I'm most proud of my younger self. Clarity beats talent, meaning what? It means if you're good at something, but you don't know where you're going with it, what are you gonna do? Right? But if you have a certain idea of the path that you want to take or the direction that you're going in, like I said, I sometimes used to Google mechanical engineering resume, robotics engineering resume, embedded systems engineering resume. It wasn't like in my head I was stuck on, I want to become a mechanical engineer, I want to become an embedded engineer. It's just as opportunities came, I would look at what are the skills required for this opportunity and can I pivot a bit? If I could, okay. If not, then this is too much for me, then I'll just step back, right? So having some kind of road that you want to go on. You might not have the final destination, but you're still walking. You're walking somewhere, you know. Documentation multiplies effort. Being able to just like do something and quickly write down, I did this today, like the daily reports for IT really helped me understand that I forget a lot of things. Like I forget. I learned because I was doing helicopter maintenance. I forgot half of everything I did within the day. So the fact that I took lots of pictures, that's one of my methods of documentation because I can't just always write. I'll just like record an audio. Hey, I'm doing this, da 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 da, or I'll just be taking pictures. It helps so much more when you can look back on the things that you've done, because you yourself might do so many cool things and then you forget that you've done the cool thing. But if you forget, then that's it. Nobody else knows. So be sure to take pictures and make audios and write whatever it is, the medium that you as comes easier to you. Document, please, for your future self's sake. Document. Consistency beats motivation. This I'm still working on. I am not. I can't say that I'm a very disciplined person. But definitely, if you can do something, if you can try to plan to do something, if not daily, then at least weekly, and maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, and you say, this is the time that I'm going to do this thing. It's better for you, and it's better for your mental health. So that you don't do like me and start like getting like spirals of high productivity, low productivity, high productivity. Don't do that to yourself, please. I'm begging you. Don't do that to yourself. It's not nice. And then be intentional, not lucky. Basically everything I've been talking about. You do not have to know where you're going, but you have to be somewhat intentional in the steps that you're taking to get there. That's yeah. I feel like I was trying to be dramatic with the last line. But yeah, that's the end of my presentation. And I know I took longer than I expected. But I started talking about this and I got quite into it. So thank you very much for taking the time to listen and hear me. Um, yeah, the slides were from SlidesGo. So if you if you're interested in making cool slides, you can use SlidesGo. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much. I really learned a lot from this presentation, and I'm sure everyone did as well.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I wanted to mention there will not be strike by God's grace.
Amen.
There won't be strike.
Amen. Amen.
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry I said that. Amen. Sorry, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm just going to give a brief summary so everyone will like remember and get and just to solidify everything that you mentioned.
Mm.
At the beginning, you asked us to yes. So the topic for this workshop was launching from campus your strategic pathway into the space sector. And from the presentation, we learned that a common mistake most students we make, most common mistakes we make is waiting till our final year, chasing certificates instead of skills, thinking grades alone are enough, no public record of our work. I personally, I find it difficult to record my work on the public space. Like I tend to just do, and then when I look back, I'll be like, oh, I did this at some point, and I forgot about it. So yes, I think I would try my best to start recording my work publicly. There are different platforms I can use for that: LinkedIn, Substack, Medium, GitHub, and also we can always make use of these platforms to document our work, to document our progress, and build our online presence. Also, we should build our soft skills and hard skills. We can use softwares like SolidWorks, ANSYS to build all the simulation skills and everything. And then we need to work on our communication skills as well. We should network with people, gain opportunities, do internships, explore opportunities. And we should also try to find the balance. The fact that you can be a straight student and also engage in extracurricular activities. For example, I'll use myself as an example. I'm among the top 5 students in my department, and I also belong in different clubs, different societies, and so it's not something that you should only depend on your academics. You can always add different things to it. So thank you very much, ma'am, for this wonderful presentation. We're going to use about 10 to 15 minutes for the question and answer session. So while everyone is gathering their thoughts, you can write your questions in the message box, or we could do it in a way that you raise your hands and then we just randomly pick different people to ask questions. I'll go first. Ma'am, you mentioned something about your interest being in both software and space. Yeah,
Mm.
what were the challenges you faced when you started? Because like it's not really easy to sorry sorry about that. It's not really easy to like combine both software and space. And for those that are even doing different unrelated things, how would they be able to combine it? And like what are the exact challenges you faced? Can you use that to learn?
Um, how to combine what are the exact challenges? Software in space. Um, so how did I even get into software? Mm, I think so in like 200 level we had a course. It was like CSC 1 or something. And normally they do like we were doing like Fortran, Visual Basic, and then they were like, "Oh no, we're not doing Fortran anymore. It'll be Visual Basic and Python." And it was like we had a book. They took us to the computer lab and they'll show us like here's how to make a calculator in Python. And then we had a book and then they'd be like, write the code to build the calculator in the book. So you're handwriting code. And I was like, what the heck is this? And prior to that, I had just started learning Python. My friend was in was it RSG, GIS, like remote sensing in GIS or metrology. So he was in like earth and mineral sciences. Like I had friends in different um what's it called, schools. And he was really getting into data analysis and he was using R. And I was like, I think I had been accepted into a boot camp in like around Futa. It was like Coven Labs or something, and it was Python for data analysis. So I had done that like maybe a few months prior to like starting this course in school. So I was like, why am I writing on a piece of paper? Um, but anyway, I got introduced to Python. So I was learning Python, and it was specifically Python for data analysis. And this is like, I'm also just getting into space. So I'm like, okay, how can I do Python for space related things? Um, and then I found opportunities of like data analysis, like space data analysis. I think I was part of SGAC. I was trying to like be more active in SGAC, and I joined like the small spacecrafts and Earth applications project group, and they had like a job, like a volunteer opportunity to be a data analyst. Da, 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 da. So this is like the small things that I was doing like out like prior to getting into like space software. It was just like software. And then um I was like, what else can you do with software? And that's when I learned about Arduinos, like the like embedded boards, Arduinos and things like that. And I didn't have the money to buy an Arduino. I think my friend had one, and I was like, oh, let me play with this. Um, and then yeah, I got more into it like that. And then during that time of not COVID, because COVID I wasted my time. Like I said, I was watching Korean movie, but the time after COVID when we were on strike, I was like, I don't want to waste my time again, and I know that I definitely don't want to do mechanical engineering. So let me focus on software because I had already had experience with Python data analysis. But I was like, but how can I use Python in space? And I was looking at like I found different YouTube channels about like space trajectory planning, orbital mechanics. So I got into that, and I was like, I need something to focus on. Like if I don't like for me, if I don't have a project, if I don't have a deadline, it's really like I can just go all over the place. So I need someone to tell me like this is what you need to do, this is the deadline. So I was like applying to like trying to find internships, and I found like open source related things. And Google Summer of Code was something I applied to. I also applied to Outreachy, which is another open source internship platform where you do an internship with a company through this program, and then when you do the internship, they pay you money in the currency of wherever the country is. So if it's like a European country, they'll pay you in euros. If it's an American country, they'll pay you in dollars. So I got accepted into Google Summer of Code. I did not get accepted into Outreachy. There was some other ones I also applied to, maybe like AliExpress or Alibaba Summer of Code. I did not get accepted. Um, and when I was applying, I was specifically looking for space because I was like, I want to do space stuff. So I was specifically looking for space organizations within that framework of open source internships. So I already knew that space. So you see, I don't have like, I didn't know what type of space thing. I just knew I want to do space. And I had been watching a few videos and stuff about orbital mechanics. And then when I got accepted to that, they were like, yeah, we're building a simulator software. Da 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 da. You need C. I didn't know C. I only knew Python. I'm like, yeah, sure, I can learn that. And yeah, so it was a lot of like applying to things, and if the opportunity comes to me, being able to adjust myself to meet it and like not disappoint the person that I'm working with. Um, what was difficult is being in Nigeria and doing an international internship where they're expecting you to like have results, and you're like, yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to work on that because there was no light for the past 3 days. So that's one of the difficulties in being able to explain your situation to an international audience. And but it's like you can't continue when I that's when I learned that I cannot continue to use that as an excuse. Like it's not an excuse. Like it's true there wasn't light, but if you know that you're really interested in this opportunity and you think that it's gonna get you somewhere, like you need to put in uh roadblock not roadblocks. You need to put things in place that allow you, like make it easier for you. If it's going to an internet cafe, if it's whatever, like dedicating the time to do the thing, um and maybe being like, okay, mommy, daddy, please, like give me some money for like this amount of time. I'm gonna be buying fuel and I'm gonna be turning on the generator for 2 hours every this and this and this. Like putting a plan in place and like being able to work like that. That's what I learned a lot from that experience. Um, yeah, because I almost like failed that internship actually, and then I was like, fuck it, I'm not gonna fail, and then I just I rushed everything in like the last week, but yeah, this is what I'm saying. Don't be like me, guys. Like these bursts of creativity and productivity. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be consistent. Be consistent. So yeah, that's. Mm, I hope that
Oh,
answered your
thank you
question.
very much. Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much. Taiwo, your hands have been raised. Please unmute yourself. Hello, Taiwo.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Nance. Good evening, everyone. So I'm Taiwo from UNN, and I think I have two questions. So you mentioned earlier when you were speaking that you said it briefly, but I'm trying to like get the picture. You said you didn't graduate. That's not the question. The question is, um, how important are grades when it comes to like going into this kinds of space? Joining space these communities or like going undergoing this project, doing this research and stuff like that. Like how actually I know grades are important, but how important are they? That's the first one. And then the second question is like for Nigerians, we Nigerians, especially students, right? What realistic opportunities do we actually have when it comes to like global space industry? Are there any realistic opportunities, or even in Nigerian space industry? That's those are my two questions.
Thank you very much for your questions. That's like they're really nice. First of all, how important are grades? Is that the question? The first one? How important are grades?
Yeah.
Okay, how important are grades? Very important. When I was applying to this school, I needed to prove, well, this scholarship, it was like the post nano satellite uh, training, whatever, scholarship, but it's also joined with the Japanese government. So it's the Japanese government that's giving us money. And then the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs is the one that's coordinating the connection between the course and the university. And the university is connecting the money aspect with the Japanese government. So there's like two processes. You do the interview for the PNST program, and then you actually do the interview for the university itself. So you still have to do the interview like an entrance exam. They have entrance exams in Japan, in Asia, but for us internationals, we don't do like English, Japanese, maths, whatever. We just do the interview. So we present something, we propose, and then it's the same kind of similar proposal for the PNST program interview. And before you even do the interview, you need to like submit a bunch of like too many documents. And then one of the documents is you need a, a proof, like an endorsement from your VC. So it's like the head of department is like not high enough. It needs to be the vice chancellor of your university. And another document that we need is proof that you're in the top 30% of your department, like graduating of your graduating class. Top 30% is still like, it's a lot, right? Because they didn't say top 5%, top 10%. That top 30%, like I was just on the cusp. Like it's so good to be able to say that, like, oh, I know somebody in the department. Like I'm friends. I can't say friend. I don't know. I'm friends with people in the department. You know all those like engineers that you can just be like, hey, I'm applying to this. Can you, like, I was on the cusp. The way we analyzed everybody's grades for me to be able to for me to be able to like mathematically say that I'm in the top 30%. The sweat. So it's like it's important. It's not like it's not important. I wish that I didn't slack so much because I did end up getting like D's and C's. If I didn't slack, it wouldn't have been so difficult to prove that I was in the top 30%. I could have been in like top 20% to be honest. But yeah, I slacked a bit. And it wasn't because of like the projects and stuff. So I can't blame, like I was doing projects and stuff. That wasn't the reason. So it's very important. So don't think that like your projects are gonna speak completely for you when it comes to applying to an academic opportunity. If it's like you meet somebody online, you do an internship, you meet somebody, that one's kind of different because like this person is looking at you based on your skill. This is probably the opportunity that you're getting is not an academic opportunity. So they're actually looking specifically at your skill. But again, this is all based on the kind of opportunity that you're getting or what you're applying to. But if you're looking at your stepping stone is the academic pathway to get to where you're going, then yeah, your grades are important. Just yeah, it's important. It's not irrelevant. Next question. What realistic opportunities for global space industry for Nigerians? Right now, we have issues, right, with America and all of this stuff about fines from $15,000 to be able to apply for a visa, blah blah blah. Because a lot of people say a lot of the opportunities are in America, like space related, whatever. When it comes to space, Japan is good. America, where else? Like I'm not like Netherlands, like this like this, not Slavic, because I don't want to say Europe because they're very focused on their own people because they have like the European Space Agency and they have so many people graduating from like France and Germany that don't even get jobs in Easter and stuff like that. It doesn't mean you can't try, but they have their own people that they're looking at for that. So as a Nigerian that's looking at a global stage, the best option is to go through academia and research, which I hate. I do not want to be in academia, but this is where I am. Ultimately, I want to work in the industry, but this is where I find myself. Now, people before me have done the whole come to Japan, then go to Europe, teach in France, like teach space systems in France. There's a university called ISU, the International Space University, and they have courses in different countries every year. So I think last year they did the course in South Korea. Before that, they did it in another country, but they're headquartered in France. So one of my predecessors, Nigerian, came here, went to France, and now he is a professor in the UK. Another of my predecessors came here, then went to work in Canada. So like Japan was like a stepping stone for them, right? Um, and when it comes to actual opportunities, space is very limited. Like it's not non-existent, but it's very limited, especially for us that have the passports that we have. So the best option is the academia path, but it doesn't mean that you cannot try the industry path. And coming to a country, so if you want to, like, let's say if you want to do it in America, they're really trying to put blockers and stuff, but it doesn't mean you still can't get the opportunity to go to America, for example. But then comes the whole you cannot work for a space company because you're a foreigner and space is defense, but you can work in a subcontracted company that's working in the company. So there's a whole bunch of subcontracted companies that work for NASA, for example. That's technically you're still working for NASA, but you're working in the company that works for NASA. That's still doing the work, for example. So it's being able to identify those kinds of things. Like, I might not be able to work directly for SpaceX, but I'm working in a contract in a company that's being subcontracted that we specialize in, I don't know, communications or antenna design or whatever it is that they do. So working globally, you have more opportunity. I'm not saying you have all the opportunity, but you have more compared to building in Nigeria. So this is another thing. The ability to build in Nigeria, like even if we want to say we want to build in Nigeria, right? What do we want to build? How do we want to build it? Is there infrastructure for that? Is there policy for that? Like when I was looking at the Nigerian law situation, I read something that was actually like you cannot like launch something or you cannot build space related whatever without government approval. And I'm like, how do they want the space sector to grow if we're not allowed to do things that we want to do? Because if you see the big space related company that everybody knows, like Nigeria for Space in Africa. What is Space in Africa? Space in Africa is a media company. It's not space like building things space. It's talking about space. And it's talking about space in Africa, not just Nigeria. Because if it was just Nigeria, what's there to talk about? Then we have ASLI, which is the African Space Leadership Institute. Again, African Space Leadership, not Nigerian space leadership. So, like, to be able to work in space right now, there has not been a precedent of a company that's building something in Nigeria. Yeah. One of my goals is to try to be that company, but I'm still in the phase of being able to identify a, a, a viable mean of success within that. Please, please wait, hold on before you talk. So that I hope that has answered your question. Realistic opportunities. I've talked about the abroad one. I've talked about Nigeria. There was something that Amira said about um, recording work publicly. So I used to do like TikToks and stuff like that. I used to make videos, YouTube, post on LinkedIn. For the past like 2 years, I have not posted on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, anything because I find it difficult. I am finding it difficult to post my work publicly. Um,
Sorry, ma'am.
and
Mute your mic.
and I don't know if it's like like anxiousness or social anxiety. I don't know what it is, but it's like I literally last week I went to a conference, and I took lots of pictures at that conference. But to be able to like go on LinkedIn and say, "Hi guys, I went to a conference and it was so nice." Like I cannot, I can't do it. So I do have the documentation, but to be able to sit down and post it's not overwhelming. I don't know. I just don't want to. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But yeah. So I understand that, like being the ability to like being able to post it. It's one thing to be able to document. It's another thing to be able to share with people. And I don't know why I have been blocked on doing that recently. But yeah, Amira, I do understand. Yeah. I just wanted to quickly answer that before we moved on. Taiwo, please, your hand is up.
Mm. Thank
I,
you so much for answering our questions, ma'am.
Amira, please, can I add just one more thing? Just quick
Oh,
one.
sure. Yes.
Okay, so how far do you think Nigeria has to go? Like, how far? How do I phrase this question now? Like, we have a long way to go in this country when it comes to space, the space industry. So, like, if you had to code, how long would you say we we are going to take till we get to that point?
Mm, I cannot put a number because I feel like it's dependent on the people that we find. It's dependent on the people that have the motivation and the resilience to carry on, like to really go into it. Because if I said I want to put a number, okay, example, um, 10 years ago, 10 years ago we didn't have ChatGPT. 10 years ago we didn't have some of the, so we had like WhatsApp, we had Instagram, but in the form that it is now, like that social media is in now, we didn't have that 10 years ago. 2016, 2015, we didn't have that. So if I was in 2015, I could never have imagined that in 10 years we're going to be able to do this and this and this and this. I could not have said that. So I can't say like, oh, it's going to take us 20 years to be able to do it. I don't think so. Like if we have a group of people that's like really serious about it, like whatever the goal is, it could take us 5 years. It could take us a year. It could take us, but it's like, what is the goal that we're trying to identify? Like if we're aware that we're aware of the infrastructural issues that we have, what is the thing that we want to address? That's very like point and blank. Because the Nigerian Space Agency, NASDA, I saw like at the beginning of last year or halfway through last year, it was like, oh, we're giving the billions of naira budget to the space, whatever. But what did they have a goal in mind of this is the thing that we want to, like, was there a plan, like an action plan of this is what we're gonna do, and then the money was allocated, or was money allocated and then like, okay, now we have money, what are we gonna do? We need to identify what our goal is, and it needs to be a very specific goal. We can't just be like, we want to stop floods and we want to identify armed robbers and we want to do this and we want to do this. If it's just like being able to increase crop yield of like corn, or if it's of maize, if we want to increase crop yield in a very specific part of Nigeria of rice, for example, can we use space or whatever, like space technology to do that? Is that something that a bunch of people can rally behind and then say that this is the goal and then be able to actionize this? So that's yeah, like technology and advancements only move fast when somebody had a specific goal and then a whole bunch of people like worked towards it. So I can't say that like it's gonna take us so many years to whatever. Because we have not identified our goal, so I can't. So where are we going? Where are we going? Like that we want to take us to, if we don't have a goal. So, yeah, mm, yeah. Oh, before we go, sorry. Yeah, so I am a representative for UNISEC, which is University Space Engineering Consortium, and I don't know why I didn't talk about that. Whatever. But yeah, where the goal right now is training Nigerian students in like space engineering, and I have seen that we like the executive team, for example, is trying to like plan like a training series. And what I mentioned at the beginning of like do projects and focus on doing the thing, don't focus on like the planning and the meetings. We have spent literally like 2 months planning, and I can't see that we have like a final whatever. So like taking my own advice, um yeah, taking my own advice, um like we're gonna start like planning weekly versus we're gonna plan all of this and then implement. The goal is to train in CubeSat development, not CubeSat, sorry, CanSat, because once we have a bunch of people that understand how to build a CanSat, it's easier to scale up. Like, okay, this is a subsystem that you're working on, so then you can now build it for a CubeSat and focus on ground station communications, antenna design patterns, and things like that. So, yeah, if you don't know what UNISEC is already, please reach out to whoever is your student lead and like ask them what is UNISEC, and then probably they'll relay you to me or something, or somebody else in the UNISEC Nigeria team. Um, But yeah, the UNICEF goal is still something that we're still trying to identify. Like we have a vision, we have a mission, but the goal that we are trying to like, who are we training? What are we training them for? What do they have available that they can use? Because I'm in Japan, somebody else is in like Saudi Arabia, a lot of the people are in Nigeria, and we cannot use our immediate resources to train people, right? We have to be like, okay, what is available to people that we can train on, and then yeah. So yeah, I need to take my own advice. So yeah, also you guys take your own advice. Yeah. Um,
Thank you so much, Ma. We look forward to participating in these activities that you mentioned because they really look promising. So thank you for honoring our invitation. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. I'm pretty sure everyone here learned a lot. And for those that did not attend, please tell your friends, tell them that they missed a whole lot.
Thank you so much for
They missed
having
a
me.
whole, missed a whole lot. So I'll be handing over the mic to the president of the Space Club. Um, Sage, idea.
Yeah, I am. Okay, well, that was a very nice session. Once again, thank you very much, Ma, for the wonderful presentation and for answering a lot of questions. 'Cause, I also have a lot of questions, but you've answered them along the way, and I'm very grateful for that. So I'm very pleased to have you here, and I hope we all learned one or two for the members here. I hope we all took home one or two. She made easy like explaining our path into the sector for those of us that want to go into the space sector, whether in Nigeria or outside Nigeria. She has compared both and outlined the path for us. So I hope we should just work on the instructions that was laid down. So thank you everyone for being here. And another thing I would like to invite us or prompt us. Our membership will be out soon for Space Club University of Illinois members, where you'll be officially a member of the Space Club University of Illinois. So we are letting you know now. So when the form is out, you can go on ahead to fill it and become an official member of the club. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, the speaker, Miss saying that I'm very grateful for you and grateful to you. Thank you very much for the wonderful speech. And thank you very much. Thank you to everyone for attending. Thank you. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye bye.
Yeah, goodbye, mom.
Goodbye, ma'am.